You said earlier in the week that you didn't think there would be an agreement on China, or that tariffs wouldn't go away until there was a real agreement. And a real agreement, in my opinion, you said, will not be buying more crops. That was basically backed up today by at least one Treasury aide. Tell us what you think would mean a real agreement.
Well, first of all, yesterday and today, the staff level workers, both from Bob Lighthizer group and from China, are meeting. I don't think anything very exciting has happened there yet, but we know that there was a high-level meeting among some of them with Ambassador Lighthizer, and we also know they're going to be here all day. What we hope to get out of this is a signal that when the leaders, when Ambassador Lighthizer and his colleagues get together with the leaders of the Chinese negotiating group, there's going to be serious progress that will get the presidents of both countries wanting to sit down and begin to put down a serious deal that starts with what they pulled away from some months ago.
So this involves those silos of intellectual property protection and technology transfers, not
Absolutely. Well, ag, I think you're going to see maybe some thoughtful purchases by the Chinese, which would help our agricultural groups. The president pulled back on a short time on some of his additional tariffs. You might see some continuation of that. I think this is a chance for the working folks to get together, and if they feel they're doing all right, to send a positive message. If there's not going to be a positive message coming out of this, it's going to be pretty hard to go to the next step.
We had the Business Roundtable. There was a Duke survey of CFOs this week. Both of them showed sentiment at 3-year lows. I wonder if you think that's reflective of your membership base, if it's overstated, and how much could it rally if we got some kind of serious deal?
Well, you know, we've been watching the economy very, very carefully. And I've been in town long enough to be here for the predictions of 40 recessions, and I was here for the 4 of them that happened. And so we've been careful. And why a lot of those never happened is people took corrective action. And I see the numbers in the last 2 or 3 days are really moving up. Bloomberg said this morning, I'm sorry about the competition, but they said, it looks like the real pressure for a recession is over. I think it is critical that we move ahead on the issues that this country can deal with now. Get up on the Hill and confirm and get approved, and this will happen, the Canada-Mexico-U.S. deal, get people talking on the China side in a positive way, and maybe jump on the work that came out of the Senate in a very bipartisan way for half of an infrastructure bill that really could give people something to vote for before they run for election.
You're not going to get an infrastructure bill before the election. Come on, Tom. No way.
Well, let me just give you one paragraph. I want to move towards it. We've been talking about infrastructure for the last 5 years. And when you get Republicans and Democrats and universally voted out a committee with everybody voting it, there is a need. And Pelosi in the House and folks over in the Senate know that they haven't voted on very much before this election. And that's the thing. And it's only the small part. It's roads, bridges, and a little transit. It might be a good start. We're talking about that in trade. Why not talk about it in infrastructure?
Right. Well, nobody argues that it doesn't make sense. It's just a question of whether it can actually happen legislatively. Tom, I don't know if you've been on since the Business Roundtable updated their statement on the purpose of a corporation. I know the Chamber came out in support of it. I think you commended them for it. Why? Why are you why does the Chamber kind of agree with what the Business Roundtable did about a month ago?
Well, maybe we have some common interest because most of the Business Roundtable members are important members of the Chamber. But the issue is, from my point of view, what the Business Roundtable came out and said is what has been the fact in many, many companies around this country. I mean, they spend well over $30 billion a year just on training workers and making opportunity available for folks. And there is a renewed understanding that that there is an opportunity to get good numbers, to run a good company, and still stand up straight and do what you can to help our communities. And we've been doing that in education, as many companies have. We've been doing it on issues that create jobs, as companies have. And I applaud them for talking about it. But you still got to make your numbers. If you make if you don't make the analysts happy, you're not going to be happy.
Speaking of analysts, Tom, as you know, this week we got guide downs on earnings from FedEx and Corning and Adobe and Nucor, people watching this GM strike. I mean, the longer it does take to cobble together any kind of agreement or bill, these managers are going to have to bring down some numbers, right?
Well, yes, and I do think the strike at GM is important because it involves dozens and dozens of major companies who are the suppliers. I do think the FedEx deal is unfortunate, but they're the major connection, one of the major connections in the supply chain between the U.S. and China, and those issues are going to be paramount. And I think that's going to be in the minds of the folks that meet this week and early next month, because you hit it right on the head. If you don't catch this thing before it runs away, it could be a long winter.